Am I talking too much?
Yes. Who am I? The name's Yukon Cornelius, the greatest prospector in the North. This is my land, and you know, it's rich with gold. Gold! Gold and silver, silver and gold. Wahoo! Nothing.
How are you? I love the Christmas stuff. It's because Christmas just came and went so fast this year. I got nothing done. Nothing was just ridiculous. As we discussed last week, nothing got done. Does this look weird? Do I look like a priest? I feel like I look like a priest with this thing on, like the
gold,
like the gray and the black. I kind of look like a priest, right? Like it's not working. I don't know what's wrong.
It's very Episcopalian.
I was going for the Catholic look, hence.
Well, isn't Episcopalian like Catholic-like? Because you're a woman, you can't really be a female priest. So
right. Well, it's it's Catholic-like. All the pomp and circumstance, none of the pesky rules. Mm-hmm. Anyway, welcome to Life with Mary Walter. I am Mary Walter. That is James Rabick, my work husband. James and I go back to a previous radio life together, so he has decided to help me out and join in here because he is just a font of wisdom. Oh. He is so smart.
Might be the nicest thing anybody's ever said.
If you have not done so, please like the podcast. We would appreciate that. Go back, watch old episodes. You can just leave them running, not really pay any attention to them. That's fine with me. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. In a couple of hours after the podcast, we tried to get the audio up onto Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just search for Mary Walter and look in podcasts, and it comes right up. So it's right there, and you can choose between Life with Mary Walter or Mary Walter Radio, which is our political podcast on Thursdays. Okay. Jim says, I look great. Well, he said it's a good look. Thank you very much. It is a warm look because I'm freezing. We're still trying to make it to January 1st without turning the heat on.
I like that.
Well, I'm very proud of myself. The last bill, it was colder. I forget how many degrees colder it averaged last year compared to this year. And I used less energy this year than I did last year. So I'm very proud of myself. Saving money all over the place, which is my jam. I love to save money. It makes me so happy. It's the happiest thing ever for me. And the older I get, the more miserly I become.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
You should see me and Ringo shopping. It's like I'm 90. I'm like, do you really need that cracker? You need those crackers. Oh, I've turned into a real Scrooge. Oh, yeah, I'm paying bills. I'm turning into a real Scrooge now. Oh, yeah.
That's because mom and dad aren't paying for you anymore, huh?
Check. Those free snacks are gone. I'm like, you don't need that many snacks. We don't need this. We're not buying extra cucumbers.
Well, I love this time of year because we always get a couple of, people will send us different gifts. And I have to tell you, though, I have more pears than I know what to do with from Harry and David. Oh, yeah. I have so many pears, and they're great. They're excellent. They're super, super good. But you can only eat so many pears.
Yeah, and make so many pies and do. Yeah, yeah.
You make pear pie?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I think that's a thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Warm pear pie.
Al says, hello, Mary and James. Al, I hope you got to spend Christmas the way you wanted to, and I hope you're feeling better, too. He's been dodging with the health thing in and out, so I hope he's doing well. Hey, Bill. Bill is here. And, of course, Jim over on Getter is here. I will put this up on the page in the description area on YouTube, so if you want to check it out, you can. Or just follow me on Twitter at Mary Walter Radio. Tomorrow, from 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I will be on KTSA out of San Antonio. It is available on iHeart. Just look for KTSA if you're not in that area. And then noon to 3, I am in for Rob Carson on the Rob Carson Show. And then tomorrow night, the cats are going to the vet. So I got that to deal with at 4:30. I know. And then Thursday, I'm in for Brian Kilmeade, 9 to noon Eastern. And then Rob Carson, noon to 3. And then we have our podcast Thursday night. And then Friday, I do the same thing again with Brian Kilmeade, 9 to noon, and Rob Carson, noon to 3. Whew. Crazy week.
Yeah. Madness, that sounds like. That sounds like madness.
Yeah, yeah. Here is make great wine. I don't know what that means, Al. You got me. I don't speak that. I don't know what that means. So hubby is off. He worked Christmas and he worked the day after Christmas. So he was off today and he's off the rest of the week and the weekend to Monday. And I feel so guilty because we usually go away to his parents' lake house up on Lake George. And we take friends with us and we do like a New Year's up there. And we're not doing it because of me, because of work, because I need the cash. So,
Of course.
I couldn't turn it down. It was too many good jobs.
Duty calls.
So I didn't do it. So I just feel bad. Oh, pears make a great wine, he says.
Oh, pear wine. Yeah.
Pear wine? I didn't know that. I'll have to look that up.
There's a few fruits that do pretty well. Cranberries do pretty well as a wine.
Really?
Yeah.
So I don't drink wine just because I'm allergic to wine. But if there's no sulfites in it, then I guess I can drink it, Then again, when the hell am I going to make pear wine in my spare time?
Yeah, right.
When is that going to happen? The Christmas tree.
Those pears.
The Christmas tree is still frozen in a bucket on the front porch. So
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably not happening. Okay, so a couple of things we're going to talk about. Let's start off with this. A survey was done, and they asked, who did this survey? Mini Brands Disney, and conducted by OnePoll. The survey asked 2,000 parents of children between the ages of 5 and 18 to reflect on their own childhood. So think about what it was like when you were a kid. And they revealed what they miss most about being a kid. And what do you think the number one thing is that parents miss most about not being a kid anymore?
Freedom from paying bills.
That's just you. You kind of have a child, but not really. Oh, right. She's going to yell at me.
Yes.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting. Not having responsibility. So kind of exactly what you said, not having responsibility. 67% say they miss that about being a child. But you still kind of do have responsibilities. You've got schoolwork. You've got, you still do have responsibilities. We had chores, so, but I guess not the same gravity. But in your kid world, it's a heavy weight. In kid world, when you've got a project and maybe you waited till Sunday night to get it done, and you were going to get it done over the weekend and you didn't do it. And the procrastination song, well.
So, I have a disease. We've talked about this for a long time. LPS, laziness, procrastination, stupidity. Yeah. It's a real thing.
Yep.
But that's a true feeling. I mean, I miss the days when the only thing I had to remember in my pockets or had to have on me or around me was a belt to keep my pants up. Like if you know what I mean? Because I forgot my belt a lot. So that's it. Like I didn't have a wallet. I didn't have keys. Like, we lock our doors in. Like I just walked out of the house. I just went.
Right.
I didn't worry about anything. I just did things and stuff and then knew lights were coming on and I came home. It's a magical time in life when you just don't, when your entire life is about exploring and fun.
True. At least that's what our childhood was like. I don't know if that's the way it is now. Al says, Merry Christmas, Ringo, and Happy New Year. That was cute. All right. Let's see. The number two thing was being stress-free. That's because you don't have the responsibility. So they kind of travel hand in hand. Yeah. But speaking of being stress-free and not having responsibilities, did you buy a lottery ticket for the lottery tonight? Over $500 million.
No, I did. My family bought one, but I didn't yet.
Okay.
I have to go pick up Ringo at work. So,
all right. Well, I think you can't buy them after like 7:00 at night.
I don't think I'm buying one today. Then
I think there's a cutoff of a certain time that you can't buy them.
Oh, there might be. Yeah.
Yeah. Hubby went out and he came home. I'm like, hey, I didn't remind you, but did you happen to buy one of the lottery tickets over $500 million? He's like, no. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm that person who gets online and I research, like I look at the scratch offs because I have better luck with scratch offs than I do with the like Powerball or something like that. I'll buy 10 tickets and have one number out of 10 tickets, right? And you get nothing for one number, nothing. So I started doing the scratch offs and I go online and I look at the odds and I look at how many tickets were printed and how many, main prizes are still out there. And I look at all this stuff and still,
nothing.
But guess if 25 is the number, I have 24 and 23.
Right. Right.
It is amazing. I look at the numbers first. Like I scratch off the number part first before I scratch off the numbers you have to match. So I scratch off the number part first and I look and I can guess what every number is along the top that you're supposed to match based on what I have.
Right. Which
so
are
if, right. So if I have 1, 2, and 3, the winning number is 5. Right? This is the way it is. It's so annoying. So annoying.
Yeah. But I do think if I'm going to win one, it's going to be a smaller, like pick 5 or whatever. Like it's not going to be the billion, but I'm hoping one day I win 3 million. That'd be great. I'm good. 3 million. Fantastic. $1 billion. Well, $500 million. That's,
3 million. You're left with 1.5. You can live on that. You do good.
Absolutely.
Christina says the breadwinner is still at work and I have it playing.
Thanks, Ringo.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Get all your friends to watch and like the podcast too. Thank you.
They probably are at her work watching.
Good.
Yeah.
Instead of working. That's bad.
No. That's bad.
Okay. If time travel were possible, 2 in 3 Americans would transport themselves back to their childhood, 64%. Would you go back? I think it depends where in my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking like the real early years? Like up until when I was right after first grade, we moved in second grade. So I had to be like 7 when we moved.
Yeah.
And up until then, it was great. Like I remember we would, Donnie, who lived next door to me, we were in the same grade. He was my buddy. And we decided we were going to dig to China because it's on the other side of the world. And so my father gave us shovels and made us dig in Donnie's backyard.
Nice. That's wise.
Go ahead, but go next door to go dig. And I was like, okay.
He's got a closer backyard to China.
So we had to go dig in Donnie's backyard and I just remember like stupid stuff that we did as a kid, but you remember it all. I remember when Greg, I had the Hi-Ho Cheerio game and he stuck one of the cherries up his nose and had to go home and because back then the cherries were like the little plastic ones with a big long stem. They weren't attached to anything and you put them on the trees, right? Hi-Ho Cheerio. Yeah. That's what you did. Now kids are choking on them and everything else and they can't do that anymore. But yeah, Greg stuck one up his nose for some dumb reason. Don't know why, but that was that.
Isn't that true? They make such a big deal about kids choking on stuff now. We always had kids that choked on stuff. We just made fun of them.
Right. And then they didn't do it again.
They didn't do it again. Yeah. Like,
right? That was the end of it.
You eating Legos, man? Come on. What are you doing, man? You're going to die. Stop it. You don't eat Legos. Don't put that in your mouth. Yeah, that was us.
You stupid.
Look, dum-dum.
So it depends on what time I'm being transported back to. Like, I don't want to do junior high ever again. Like, junior high is cruel. It's horrible. Like, your legs and your arms are too long and you got braces and you're all dorky looking and your hair's a mess. And it's a really bad, awkward time. People are really mean and cruel because there are some girls and some guys who are somehow together. Yeah. And they usually had older siblings who, like, fixed them up, Right. So like they were really cool. And here you are all totally at least for me, because I'm the oldest. I was totally dorky. My mother dressed me. So it was a disaster. Right. So I wouldn't want to go back because middle school children can make Guantanamo prisoners cry. So I would not want to go back to that.
So the beginning, we had Cherry Hill has like junior high, but Marlton had middle school. So that process started I moved in between 6th and 7th grade. I changed townships. So for me, like everything up to middle school was great. And then that 6th grade was that life-changing year where like you still have your friends, but like you said, like you realize how cruel kids can be. It's like a different dynamic because 6 is like right on the border. Thank God I moved, because I think if I had stayed in Marlton in 6th grade, I'd have been a tragic case. Let's just say, like, so I was on the bad path there for somehow going to a school my dad taught at, and that thing, finding music, it all kind of happened at the same time for me. So I kind of liked 7th and 8th grade. They were, for me, it wasn't so bad. It would have been bad in Marlton though. What's
the difference between junior high and middle school?
Junior high, I think in theory is 7 and 8, and middle school is 6, 7, 8. Because some schools take your elementary up to 6th. Like 6 is that weird number, right? Sort of like where 9th grade is sort of the outlier for high school. Like you're still kind of a kid when you start 9th grade, you're like,
right.
And then by 10th grade, you sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because where we went to school, we had two major high schools that had over 2,000 kids each, and
Right.
each high school had two junior highs that fed into it. But some people were in the junior high for fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Some people were only in it for seventh and eighth because it depended on your elementary school.
Right.
So, like where my husband went to elementary school, they had 4 classrooms and 4 grades. First, second, third, and fourth. That was it. So he went to fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth at junior high. So I went to a school where you were in from kindergarten through sixth.
Right.
And then did seventh and eighth, where other kids had been there for fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth.
Boy, that's strange.
So it all depends.
Districts going into the same school? Is that how that worked? Is that why there
No,
was
it was a Bridgewater Raritan, so it was a huge district.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of that district.
Yeah, it's just a huge district. So each high school had 2 junior highs that fed into it, and each junior high had like 2 or 3 elementary schools that fed into them.
Yeah, like Cherry Hill. Yeah.
But some of them were real small, like where my husband went to school in Martinsville. It was literally, I think, like 4 classrooms, or maybe 6. Like my school, our school in town here, it's kindergarten through 8th grade, and there's 1 class in each grade.
Ooh, that's small.
And there's no cafeteria. There's no, there's
no cafeteria.
No, the kids, you eat at your desk. I think they have like a gymnasium, cafeteria, but there's no kitchen. So they don't get food there. You either bring your food or you go home, or you go to the pizzeria in town to eat at lunch.
That's
so lunchtime in our town, there's kids everywhere. Because they're either they ride their bikes to school, they walk, so they either ride their bikes home for lunch, or where they bring it and eat outside or at their desk, wherever they want to eat.
We used to have to sneak to a 7-Eleven up the street.
High
school, and by sneaking, I mean we just walked there, got stuff, and came back. Like we would see, because that's right near the police station where I went to high school in Cherry Hill. Oh, there's a police station right there. I mean, we'd pass the cops walking, like nobody cared. It seemed like, but you were never really allowed to do it.
Right.
Everybody just walked up there, got stuff, came back.
Yeah, we were allowed to do that. We were allowed to go out to lunch as seniors, and
that's awesome.
We
were
never
allowed to do that.
Dunkin' Donuts and get donuts and bring them back. Like some of my classes, the teacher would be like, "Hey, who wants to make a donut run?" And one of the seniors would be like, "I'll do it." And the teacher give him money, and he'd go to Dunkin' Donuts and come back with the donuts. So
that's awesome.
It's a different world. So it would all depend on what time I get to go, when I would be going back. Let's see, 53% say they miss their childhood friends. I stayed in touch with most of my childhood friends.
Some of mine, kind of.
It's a Facebook chick thing now.
Yeah, it might be chick.
Yes. The advent of Facebook really helped that 100%. Some say they miss having family gatherings, 52%, and 52% say they miss celebrating the holidays. That's sad. Let's see. 3 in 4 parents said they reminisce about their youth often or always. 75% say they reminisce about their youth often or always. That's a lot.
Yeah.
90% have shared stories about their childhood with their kids. Of course they did, because kids want to know what it was like. What was it like when you were growing up? Yeah, we asked our parents all that stuff, so that's normal. Let's see. 67% admit that their children's childhood is much better than theirs. They believe 65% believe their kids have more opportunities in life. 57% say they have more access to technology. Well, of course. And 56% say that their children receive more affection than they did as kids. I have to tell you, like, I don't have kids, but I look at my nieces, and I don't know. I kind of think we had a better childhood. We had a lot more freedom. Yeah. I think we had more responsibility, and I think that makes you into a better adult when you have more responsibility. I think it prepares you for life a little bit better. But the stuff that we got away with and we were allowed to do compared with what they're allowed to do, no way. I think we had it way better.
My parents did not know what I did from
the
second I left at 8 o'clock in the morning till I returned at 7 o'clock at night. They might have had an idea. They knew I was in a neighborhood. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times we just got on bikes and said, like, hey, what's 2 miles in that direction? Right? Like, my parents used to turn here. What happens if I turn this way? Like, we just take bikes and go places and just do stuff. And crazy stuff we used to do, by the way, like bicycle tag, which was basically like kill the man on the bicycle, like between
that was
like
a boy game.
Things.
Yep.
Yeah, like you knock a guy off a bike, it's just tag. I mean, who cared? We didn't have any helmets. We were like, knocking people off bikes. Not to be mean, it's just what we did. We're boys, like you said, mostly boys. There were some girls involved, but yeah, bicycle tag, that was a thing. Or hide.
Well, bicycle tag, a form of bicycle tag. There were 2 families in the neighborhood that had paved driveways. Everybody else had gravel, right? Okay. And one of the paved driveways had a little bit of a hill. And like we had a little bit of a hill that we would ride the sleds down into the street or cardboard or whatever, right?
Right.
So the boys were down the street at this house that had the little bit of a hill, not much, and a paved driveway. And they were throwing things at each other, trying to knock you off the bike. That's what the game was. So my brother came home with his collarbone sticking out, with his arm dangling, screaming. And my mother's like, what happened? He goes, we were trying to knock each other off bikes. And my mother's like, and they got you? She was shockingly calm for my brother coming home with his collarbone and his arm dangling and everything else.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
Yeah, that was a guy thing, though. I never came home like that. Al says we were free-range kids back then. We were. Yeah. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and that's why, my mother would be like I told you, we would go up to the farm and we milk the cows to get money or pick the eggs out of the chickens from under the chickens to get money. And we'd be gone all day. Hold on. So I texted my IT department, said, could you please bring me some water? Look at this. Look at this. Do you see this? Hold on. On a very classy Rheingold beer tray.
Love it.
And he's got a towel over his arm. Could you just make it a little bit cooler? It's too hot. Thank you. Such a dope. Thank you.
That was very nice.
That was very nice. She's cleaning the kitchen right now, which is awesome. Tina, I used to dig to China at my babysitter's.
Yeah.
We were only allowed to do that in the neighbor's yard because my father was not putting anything. Hold on. Did you turn it off? Oh, no, it's still on. Okay. It's so cold. I have my little space heater here to keep me warm, and it was just getting a little schwitzy. So he turned it down for me.
Smart.
All right.
I remember when me and my friends decided we were going to defeat the Russians and train for like a month in our local woods. So we could put a little commando team together and go defeat the Russians. We were sure the 6 of us could do it. We were sure in 6th grade or 5th grade.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Can you put because it's cold. He turned it down and then turned the fan down, so now it's cold. It's not blowing on me. Now cold.
I didn't hear the crash.
It's cold in here. All right, sorry. We used to play Army all the time. Thank you. We used to play Army all the time too. We did that all the time.
Loved it.
Well, I was the only girl playing Army, of course. But we had behind when we moved and we lived next to a different family, not Donnie. They had because we had 500 acres of wood behind our house. They had like a big trench there, and that was our dugout. Like that was our readout. That was the trenches, and you over top, with your sticks.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ron loves the tray. It brings back many memories. And Tina says, "You're slacking, little buttercup. Where's my water like that?"
Thanks for
for those of you who are listening on the podcast, my husband came with a Rheingold tray, like an old Rheingold tray, like the round ones, with a towel over his arm and a bottle of water on the tray. Let's see. 83% said they grew up in an area in which they were born, which we were very close to where I was born versus where we grew up. Right. A similar percentage, 81%, think that growing up in this era is much harder now than when they were a child. And I agree with that 100%, which is why I think we had it better than kids today.
Oh, yeah. It's so much harder as a kid today. In a weird way, you have like more responsibilities or things to navigate, traps to navigate that we didn't really have, right? They're worried about like pedophiles and murderers and all this stuff for kids. I'm worried about kids with smartphones and what they have access to and what they're seeing and how young they're having to deal and overcome that stuff. Like, can you imagine having access to you have now in 6th grade? Like, just think like porn. Like, Like when I was a kid, like one kid found a Playboy from his dad's and it went around for half a year till somebody else found a penthouse, right? Like there was no that kind of access didn't happen in what they have now. Like it's psychotic to think what they have access to, because I don't think parents are as. I think 10 years ago when kids just started to get cell phones, parents were like, I need to make sure I lock down my phone and there's no way they can get it. I'll put on all the parent controls. I don't even care now.
I think our parents are much more worried about us like cutting off limbs and things like that because of the stuff that we did that was, we've talked about what would consider toys that today, like my nieces look at us and go, wait, you had what?
Yeah.
What did you do? Wait, your parents gave you that?
You still could get BB guns for kids when I was a kid, right? Like, can you think of the idea now of buying a kid any gun whatsoever, let alone like a BB gun, like
a Red Ryder BB gun?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
There was also an air gun. Do you remember there was a big air gun? Because I was too young for my cousins. The boys had it in Bayonne. My cousins in Bayonne had it, and so it had to be like it was in the 60s, I want to say, and it got taken off the market because kids were having their eardrums blown out. So kids were going deaf from the air gun. I swear, we had so many toys that my mother would come and confiscate because it was taken off the market for whatever reason, because some kid like chopped off a body part. All right. Okay. Here's another study. Why do you think this is? You being a man, not to assume your gender. But men under 30 have more difficulty accepting advances in women's rights than older men, according to a new study. Now, it does come out of Europe.
Okay.
It was a study that was EU-wide, so all across the EU. And they found that young men see themselves as being in competition with women and are therefore more likely to vote in favor of right-wing anti-feminist political candidates, according to the research team. Now, just because you're right-wing to me doesn't mean you're anti-feminist. I don't think that. I think that's a stereotype. So I'm questioning the veracity of the study to begin with because of that. The researchers are at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, and they said as Western democracies became more gender equal, many young men began to oppose further advancements as they see women's progress coming at their expense. Which I have to tell you, look at where we are now. We elevated women because women weren't doing as well as boys. And so instead of elevating women to the level of boys, we pushed boys down, I think, in a lot of ways. And you've got more women going to college now, more women graduating from college now, more women getting higher paid jobs than men now because of that when they come out. So and that's why a lot of them are not getting married. A lot of women aren't getting married because it's hard to find someone who they consider to be their equal. Or marrying up in some way.
I'd happy marry a woman to be the breadwinner. Mine practically is right now, but I mean, yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, conceptually, like a woman who made more money, I'm not opposed to that. That's not. But maybe you're right. I'm not under 30. I don't know.
But I think a lot of men say that, but when they're in the situation, it's different.
Oh yeah, not me, but yeah, I know men who've said it and then it happens and they're like totally emasculated.
Exactly.
I lived it, so I get it. But I mean, yeah.
Right. Al says he got his first 22 at 12 years old. Yep. Going back to that, I remember kids during hunting deer season, the boys on their bicycles, the banana bikes, with their little shotgun, their little rifle across the handlebars, riding down the street with the gun because they're going to their friend's house and dad's taking them hunting. And mom just let them go out the door with them.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Or even like motorbikes, right? Like, we got on the back of mopeds all the time. Nobody cared. Kids would get that kind of stuff. You used to get scooters. You didn't have to have a scooter license when we were kids. Kids had scooters, all kind of crazy stuff like that. Like, nobody cared.
Right.
They rode around the neighborhoods and everybody's just happy running around. As long as you weren't killing anybody.
Exactly. And if you did, it better be you. Or your parents would kill you then. So they say that the current study is published in the journal Frontiers in Political Science, and they surveyed almost 32,500 people across the EU's 27 countries. So that's a lot. That's a pretty intensive study. One of the people involved in this said that some people believe that increased gender equality only benefits women and do not see the benefits for society as a whole. I can see that. I can absolutely see this. I mean, look at what's happened to white men in this country, men in general. But white men, forget it, right? Look what's happened to white men in this country, totally devalued and made fun of and mocked and pushed down. The results show that young men aged 18 to 29 most often agree with this statement in our survey. The older the men are, the less they agree with this statement. Some women agree with the statement, but to a far lesser extent than men of all ages. Here's the statement. The results contradict previous research claiming that the older generation are the most conservative and opposed to advances in women's rights. Wait, where's the reason? Where's the statement? Unless I'm reading this wrong. Well, whatever. I'm not going to spend too much time at Slovakia, which is in the EU. That's where the highest proportion of young men are opposed to advances in women's rights. In some regions there, unemployment has risen, though, as much as 1.1% in the last 2 years. So the higher unemployment rises, the more they resent women because women are in the workplace. And so, they're taking jobs away from men. I think I need
a job. You could be home barefoot and pregnant. I don't know what you're doing.
Let's see. Slovaks think that their own country's public institutions are not impartial, and that their social institutions favor certain groups of people. I can see that here. In regions in northern Italy where unemployment has fallen and where social institutions are perceived as reasonably impartial, young men are less resistant to advances in women's rights. In Sweden, the largest proportion of young men who agree with the survey statement that advances in women's rights threaten men and boys' opportunities live in regions where unemployment has risen in the last 2 years. So that's probably why.
I mean, those people need to be slapped around, but I get it.
No, but I understand it. Like I'm the man. I'm supposed to be able to take care of my family. Listen. If you're in a traditional relationship with a man and a woman and you have children, somebody is literally making a human being. The other one better have a job.
Right. Unless you become Mr. Mom and, Mrs.
Right,
Mom.
But the person who is literally creating a human being should be cut some slack.
Well, and in fairness, I think, again, we're both not parents, but, I watch enough things, listen to enough things to know that it seems like young kids generally attached to their mom.
Right.
Right. It's a natural thing. Like your dad is just like some figurehead while your mom is sort of the most important figure in your life early in your development. Right. Like when you're first, early in that development point, like your mom is everything to you. And then it's your dad that you slowly figure out. Right. That's sort of the child process with parents. Right. That's how it works.
Was your mom home all day or your mom worked?
Yeah. My mom didn't have she taught voice, and I think she occasionally like little part-time. They gigged. I mean, they were musicians, so I mean, they had that going.
But that's why
she didn't have a full-time job.
But I think that's so you saw your mom more, so that's why your mom was more important. Dad came home from work. That's the same thing I had. So mom was the bigger, the bigger element. If dad was a Mr. Mom and staying home, it would be the reverse. So I think that's why.
I wonder if that's true. If it really is like a fetal thing. I'm not a doctor. I definitely don't know. But it does seem like I don't know. Maybe.
I have no idea. All right, let's have some fun, shall we? Shall we have some fun?
Fun.
A guy named Dan Gaynor wrote in a piece in Fox on FoxNews.com, an opinion piece. The 8 most annoying people of the year. Who were the most annoying people of 2022?
Ooh.
See, the hard thing about this is we usually wind up picking recent people. You don't pick people from like the beginning of the year because now you don't remember them, So you usually pick more recent people. So I'll tell you who's on his list, and feel free to chime in here. Leave your comments. I'll put them up. Who are the most annoying people of 2022? Now, one of my most annoying people that I immediately thought of is here on this list. I said Brian Stelter.
Okay.
And the entire cast of The View.
Okay. Yeah, the entire cast of The View.
The entire cast of The View, Brian Stelter cannot stand them at all. I've got a hair. It's driving me crazy. Sit down, shut up, and go away. Off with you. Most annoying people of 2022. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else is really annoying. Hillary Clinton, she's around. Who else? So think about it. Most annoying. Who do you have anybody off the top of your head?
Well, I'll take that View thing. Oh, that's a disaster.
The yapping yentas.
Anything that has to do with Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians, and by that, I'm going to add by extension Kanye. I'm over any of that. I don't know why any of those people get airtime. I don't get it. Every year they're popular. Doesn't make any sense to me. They make me cough. I don't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm kind of
one of them.
Mm-hmm. AOC, one of the most annoying people of 2022.
I don't have any politicians on my list. This is the year I paid so little to politics. Thank God. I don't have any politicians on my list this year.
Stand it. It was an election year. How dare you not pay attention?
That's why.
No. Tina says James is the most annoying person of 2022, and he's right. James A says Meghan, that little trollop. And I think he's talking about Meghan Markle. I think it's who
over that too.
Of.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because here's what Dan Gaynor said, number 1 on his list. I don't know if these are in any kind of winner, in any kind of order, but James A, to your point, the first people he mentions, Meghan Markle and Prince, what's his name? Yeah. He says, before he got married, Prince Harry had a name and a personality. Now he's just a sidekick to the woman who would be princess. Meghan thought becoming royalty meant everyone would treat her like she got treated in Hollywood, with a mix of attention and worship. Turns out she had to curtsy to the queen, and Meghan demanded to be the center of her own universe. Now the press on both sides of the pond can't stand her. Even the New York Times gave her new show this headline: Harry and Meghan has all the intimacy of Instagram. It's shocking that Meghan is a career actress and she can't even act sincere. I wonder when Harry will notice.
Yeah, that's right too. I'm
done with them.
Didn't we fight a war not to pay attention to the royals, especially these two dum-dums? Like, ugh.
See, but to me, I like watching this, and that's why I had to like watching a lot of the reality shows, because it makes my craziness and my family or in my country less crazy.
Yeah,
we're bad, but right, like, so it's kind of, it's like when I used to like Maury. Remember when I used to watch Maury all the time? Yeah, I used to watch Maury working out. I'd be on the Nordic track and have Maury on, and I'd sit there and doing my exercise, and I'd watch Maury, and I loved it because no matter how bad my day was going to be, I wasn't going to be on Maury. It was never that bad. It was never like, hey, want to come on Maury bad. Like if you get asked to be on Maury,
mostly because you never wanted to hear this. Alfie is not the father. LeBron, not the father. Dale, not the father. Joseph, not the father. And you're like, holy crap.
Would you like to come back and test anyone else?
Right, exactly. That show was brutal.
But it was great, and that's why I loved it. That's why I love that. Also on the list, and the funny thing is, what did I say? The cast of The View. Now, I didn't read this. I haven't even highlighted it, so I didn't read this. I just said, the 8 most annoying people of the year. This will be a fun conversation, especially for just before the new year. The cast of The View has changed over the years, but both cast and content have just gotten worse. Recently, faux conservative Alyssa Farah Griffin went after the rest of the cast for their criticisms of her. She accused them of toxic femininity. She's half right, which also describes her conservatism. The show is certainly toxic, but let's call it what it is: toxic stupidity. The View is so bad, we should now call a collection of morons a view, like a flock of geese. A view of morons, which is what you get when you turn on the show.
I don't know if it's because I remember it differently, but I feel like when it was Meredith Vieira and Barbara Walters, it was way more political, right? It was way more like life topics and things just happening in the world, and like a hint of politics here and there, but not like it is now, where they're just every day politics. Nobody.
But here's the thing: it's not really politics; it's just their feelings.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're having a real debate.
There's no fact. It's totally devoid of any facts.
Yeah.
It's just, well, I feel this way, and they just pass it off as fact. Donald Trump never paid taxes. Well, okay, well, that's just not true. Sit down, Joy. Yeah. You know who's like getting like that now? And I'm done with, because I used to every now and then, if I was like folding laundry or something, I put on Dr. Phil to see what kind of, like misbehaving teenagers on Dr. Phil or something like that. Dr. Phil's like doing a lot of stuff about racism, critical race theory, and all this other stuff under the guise of, being a psychiatrist. I'm like, he's getting political too. And I'm just not digging Dr. Phil anymore. He's jumped the shark. Can't do it. Can't do it.
You know me, I run from political stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be the same. I don't watch Dr. Phil, but that would have definitely turned me off. Right?
Yeah, I'm so bummed. Let's see. Kanye West is on the list.
100%.
He said, you knew the Kardashians had to make some sort of an appearance. That's huge. This is yours, James. As a Kardashian ex, Kim pre-Pete Davidson, Ye counts. It takes a lot to unseat the Reverend Louis Farrakhan as the nation's foremost anti-Semite, but is it Ye? Because it's Kanye. Ye certainly tried. He's gone from DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people to claiming he actually can't be an anti-Semite. He keeps violating the law of holes. If you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Ye has free speech, but he'd help himself out by shutting up and listening. Please.
Yeah, he's rough, man. And the thing is, and I know this is probably not the biggest, hip hop crowd in the world, but in that world, he was really talented. Like making tracks and like that kind of production.
Yes.
He's really talented. And then brain, which by the way, does lend itself to the concept of everybody's watching a guy melt down. And just like we would do, like a reality show of him. Like everybody's like watching him melt down and being like, yeah, feed that beast, Dude needs help.
Yeah, he needs help. And I have a hard time making fun of him or jumping on the bash Kanye train, because I really do think he's having some kind of mental, he's manic right now. He's going through a really severe manic period, it seems like. And we know that he has issues. And I just think that instead of making fun of him, we should probably get him some help.
Well, right. I mean, no rational person goes, let me tell you the good things about Hitler, right? Like there's just no rationality to any concept, right? I mean, even if you thought the Germans did something right, like just wording it that way shows like somebody's level of insanity, right? Like, no rational person would word that way. You could easily just go on, here's what the Germans during World War II did well. They invented this, they invented
the Autobahn.
Yeah, the Autobahn, whatever. But you get my point. Like, but when you start going on public TV going, hey, Hitler did some things right. Let me tell you how it started. I'm like, you should calm down. You should just calm down, dude.
Yeah, no, I just, like I said, I think he went through a very severe manic period, and nobody helped him. James A says JoJo Siwa, Jake Paul. Jake Paul's to the point now where he's just getting beat up. He's just like letting people beat him up for money.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah, who's out of the Daily Show, which I never found him to be funny. I didn't find him to be appealing. I never liked him over him. So I don't know if he got more annoying in 2022. I didn't know that was possible.
So
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna say I love him as a stand-up. I mean, I always thought he was a really funny stand-up. I just think what he did in the Daily Show. I mean, it's hard to, top Jon Stewart, or how that's going to even. They should just kill that show and left it go. But after Jon Stewart left that show,
it fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Trevor Noah, funny stand-up, but not everybody can do that, right? You just can't.
Right.
There's some people who can be in those kind of political shows and be funny. John obviously is a liberal, but clearly took shots at liberals and had good fun with liberals too. I don't know. It just got. I can't say overly political. It's a political show, but you know what I mean. The wrong way. The jokes just stop being. They seem written for an audience rather than written just to be funny.
Right. By the way, last weekend, did I tell you this? We watched Sebastian Maniscalco's special on Netflix.
Yeah, you did.
The latest one. Hilarious. Oh my gosh, we were crying, laughing so hard. Yeah. JoJo Siwa apparently went through a very public breakup, and with a TikTok star, Avery Cyrus. I don't know if Avery Cyrus is related to Miley Cyrus. I have no idea. But it's totally public because she's a child and she needs to just stop doing that publicly. Bill says The View, don't care anything they do with the royal family. And my favorite meathead, Rob Reiner, lies about Trump every day on Twitter. Yeah. Rob Reiner, I could do without him too. 100% on that. Okay, here's one that nobody's mentioned. Chris Cuomo. He used to have a Dan Gaynor says he used to have a mildly popular show on CNN back in 2021. His loyalty to his brother got him caught up in a sex harassment scandal that temporarily crashed both careers. CNN reported Cuomo sought to use his connections in the press to help prepare Andrew Cuomo's team as accusers started to make their stories public. Chris did a poor Lazarus routine and sort of came back from the dead. Now he labors in much deserved obscurity at News Nation. Motto: when you're number 5, no one cares who you hire.
Yeah, I didn't know he had a new job, so that shows you something. Wow.
Yeah,
nobody cares.
It's funny, Bill said that he doesn't care about the royals. I kind of find it fascinating. Like, we watch The Crown, and I kind of find the whole royals thing fascinating because we don't have that here. Right? Like no. The pomp and the circumstance. Every little girl dreams of being a princess. That's why Disney princesses are so popular. So I kind of get it. And Prince Harry had it so easy. He was the spare. He had all the fun, all the money, and didn't have any of the responsibility. He could pretty much do it. He was Prince Andrew, for God's sakes, right? Like, he could do whatever he wanted. He could screw up as much as he wanted. And look what it took for Prince Andrew to finally get his head handed to him, right? So Harry had it easy. He just didn't have to be as bad as his uncle. And he could have skated through, had all the money, had all the women, had the lifestyle, but no. He couldn't do it. He gets wrapped up in Meghan Markle, who, and I have to tell you, kind of funny to watch it all unravel.
Burn down is exactly what happened.
Yeah. He should have listened to his brother. People were when people around you were saying, I don't think this is such a good idea. It may not be because you think they're racist.Maybe it's because it's just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's happening now. I think Prince Harry also had it rough, and he probably should have had some counseling or therapy after his mother died. I don't know if he did, but I think that affected him deeply. I mean, that was screwed up. That was totally messed up. And so I think he probably could use a fair bit of counseling, if you will. I mean, again, I'm not a professional. I'm just diagnosing him with zero kind of credibility behind it and from afar.
I'm with you. And I don't know, but I imagine royals are sort of like the mob. Like, they don't see shrink. They just push that down. Push it down.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly what happens. Okay. On the list, one of mine, Brian Stelter. Can't stand the man. He just looks so pudgy. Like, he looks like he'd go, wee wah, like you could push him. He looks like very puffy, like the Pop and Fresh guy. Like, that's what Brian Stelter. He's just very doughy, right? Like, he's just it's a weird look to me. Like, you can be fat, God bless you, but like, he was like if he misplaces the remote, it's probably in there somewhere,
That's right.
It looks like to me. It's weird. Stelter was one of the first on-air talents, and then question mark, to be canned by the new CNN. Meet the old boss, same as the old boss. The new boss, same as the old. He used to anchor one of the most ridiculous shows on TV, so-called Reliable Sources. Now he's at the Harvard Kennedy School's Shorenstein Center as a fellow. The left is great at paying off its people with jobs and book contracts. You probably remember Stelter for his hatred of conservatives, attacks on Donald Trump, and suggesting Avenatti might be a good presidential candidate because the media loved him. Now Stelter's doing panels and still tutting conservative media. Welcome to well-deserved obscurity, Brian. That's one. Michael Avenatti. Why isn't he on this list? I mean, because he kind of went away. I mean, like, he just kind of got his comeuppance, and that was the end of it. They didn't have to keep getting the hook. He didn't keep sticking his head out onto the stage.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Left. Harry Potter people. He said, imagine you're a child actor. You get to appear in movies based on some of the most popular books of all time. You become super famous and fabulously wealthy. But the author dares to stand up for the traditional views of women. Well, that was too much. The stars did their own transfiguration spell and morphed themselves from small children into rats. They proved to the world how woke they were, so they threw J.K. Rowling, under the Hogwarts Express, but kept all the money. They started as children and still act like it. Let's see. Ben Collins, Brandy's Drosny from NBC. Pete Davidson. Here's one. Pete Davidson. He could go away.
I'm a fan.
Why?
I love Pete Davidson.
What is there to love about him? He's not funny. Like, what does he bring to the table?
Oh, he's funny. I love every bit about him.
Funny.
Oh, I think he's hilarious.
Really?
I guess he's gonna list. I get it. I understand what people maybe don't like, but his weird, quirky thing. I just love his weird quirkiness. He's so strange. He's not for everybody. I get it, but
that could be why so many. He gets all these dates with hot women. Like he's dating all these hot women because women love a funny guy, right? And
funny and aloof. Like
guess.
you heard Kim Kardashian talk about why she went after him, right? Because he ignored her. He ignored her on Saturday Night Live. Every guy hit on her except Pete Davidson. It was like Googling over, and he was like, okay. And she was like, oh, now she actually said these words. He has, what is it? Big junk. I don't want to say the wrong words. It would be nice here, but whatever. She said he had big dick energy. That's what she said about him. That's why she dated him.
Okay.
He had this overly manly thing, which I find so weird. That's the only reason I brought it up, because as much as I find him funny and quirky, overly manly is not how I would describe Pete Davidson. But
no, but see, there's a different. Women are drawn. I think everyone is drawn to someone who's confident, and there's a fine line between confident and cocky. Cocky is a turnoff. Confidence is sexy.
Yeah, the other side of that is aloof, like confident, cocky, confident, aloof. Right? You can be aloof and seem confident because you kind of seem like that quiet type who's not paying attention to me. I'm not saying it's completely what he is, but there's a little something to aloofness. I think that.
A little bit, but I don't know.
I find too far. Yeah, you can go too far.
Cocky guys are usually aloof, in my experience.
Oh yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Cocky guys are too aloof. Yeah.
Yeah, and so to me that's not sexy at all. Well, let's see. Dan Gaynor says Davidson has dated more famously beautiful women than anyone since Sinatra, and then he goes through them all: Ariana Grande, Kate Beckinsale, Kim Kardashian, Emily Ratajkowski. Every single move he makes lands in the press as a result. He turns 30 next year. He's not even 30 years old yet. I thought he was older than that.
Nope.
He has no apparent acting or comedic talent and is proof that some group, Freemasons, Illuminati, mimes, somebody controls the world. Or maybe it's just Pete himself. Forget the Matrix. This is Pete Davidson's dream world. He better pray he never wakes up. The rest of us hope he just gets a job where he'll be ignored. I hear CNN has some openings.
Pete Davidson on CNN. I'd pay for that. I'd watch that.
Really?
Yeah, Pete Davidson doing politics on CNN. That'd be hilarious. That'd be so dumb.
I don't know. Men like dumb humor, I think, more so than women. Not all men. It's like why men love the Three Stooges and they think it's hilarious. And women are like, this is dumb. Why am I watching this? And men think it's uproariously funny.
I was just going to say, well, look at the Three Stooges. Right? I mean, come on.
When they come on, even when I was a kid, when they would come on after school or on Saturday mornings, after cartoons were over, and they still, on Channel 11, they still run like the Bowery Boys and the Three Stooges and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
Lauren Hardy.
I don't get it. I try to watch it and I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah. It's real dumb. It's real dumb.
It is. Like they're just hitting each other in the head and doing stupid stuff. I love the Little Rascals after school when that was on in repeats. They played it on reruns on like Channel 9 or Channel 11, the back channels out of New York. They would play the Little Rascals, and that was great. I love that. That was fantastic. But didn't get it at all. So that's it. We're done a little early, which is great because I have a lot to do tonight. So tomorrow, 6 to 10 a.m., I will be on KTSA out of San Antonio. It is carried on iHeart, so you could just stream it on iHeart. Then from noon to 3 Eastern, I will be in for Rob Carson again on Newsmax Radio. And you can go to, you can stream that show on WCBM, but I'll put all the information in the descriptions, and also follow me on Twitter, Mary Welter Radio, because I always put everything up as it goes through my day. I'm like, okay, this is next. Same schedule on Thursday. That's tomorrow. Then Thursday, we have our podcast at 7:15 Thursday night, the political podcast, Mary Walter Radio. You can watch it the same way you watch it now. You can get the audio on Apple and Spotify podcasts. But Thursday, I'm in for Brian Kilmeade from 9 a.m. to noon. And then again for Rob Carson, noon to 3. So I'm doing Fox Radio and then Newsmax Radio. So, and then that schedule's the same on Friday. And then Saturday, I'm sleeping all day. All day.
Yay.
Oh, I need some sleep.
Oh, yeah.
A little tired, a little cranky. So, all right, I'm going to go eat a pear. Because we have lots of pears. They were very good this year from Harry and David, I have to say. Sweet. They were exceptionally sweet and juicy. They were very, very good, but there's a lot of them. So I'm going to do that. Or as Al said, go make some pear wine. So maybe I'll do something along that. I'm sorry?
Yeah, go mush some stuff.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of time. But so by the way, I didn't ask you, how was Christmas?
Fantastic. Yeah, we had a really good time. Yeah, we did a little both families. It was good.
And did Santa bring you everything you wanted?
100%. Probably more than I deserved.
Aw. Yeah. And did you finally do shopping for once in your life, not on Christmas Eve and not at a 7-Eleven?
Check. Ringo's been real good about keeping things moving.
Good.
Not a procrastinator.
You need somebody to kick your behind.
Yeah, somebody who's not afraid to wake me up and say, let's go.
Yeah, you need that too, because that was the same. So will you be in on Thursday with me? All right. So Thursday, we will be here for Mary Walter Radio, the political podcast. Please like the podcast. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. We really appreciate that. And everybody have a fantastic night. And if we don't see you Thursday, Happy New Year. We'll see you in the next year. Bye-bye.
I owe everything to George Bailey. Help him, dear Father.
Joseph, Jesus, and Mary, help my friend, Mr. Bailey.
Help my son, George, tonight.
He never thinks about himself, God. That's why he's in trouble.
George is a good guy. Give him a break, God.